The idea that there's like some guy just like, oh, deny you, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just not how these jobs work.
I wonder what compels someone like Destiny to be so aggressively a status quo defender. I genuinely don't understand it. Is he getting cooked in his own house? This guy, so many people here think that he has good policy ideas. He's making a complete straw man in order to defend the U.S. insurance system.
Okay. Let me know. You sit at your computer and this is what happens. A thing comes in and it goes, oh, doctor is requesting this, okay? And then they have another screen and it says, here are our standards of care and here's what we provide. And then you look at this, you make sure there are no contraindications for the prescription or the treatment or whatever. And then as long as everything matches, then you click okay, approve, or you see there's a contraindication or there's some other thing that you suggest first, you go, oh, okay, deny. That's how it is. The CEO is not walking up and down the aisles and being like, oh, that mother deny them. We need to make more money on that.
I oftentimes wonder like who this is for whenever I hear commentary like this, where I just don't understand it. Like, what's the purpose here? Because becoming a hyper specific, ultra autistic process guy in this situation doesn't change the dynamic, doesn't change the reception. It doesn't, like, people still have their claims denied. And the CEO in this situation is just a standalone figure that is signing off on all of those actions. He's at the tippy top, okay? Like, this person didn't kill him because the CEO directly immediately went into the files and was like, deny that person's like back injury claims. I think this is a part of what a lot of debate lords do, where they just like want to always be right and they want to also always be contrarian. So when there isn't anything that you can grab onto, you just get like ultra specific. It's like, well, the CEO directly is not causing this. It's like, well, no, the CEO is responsible. That's why he gets paid the amount of money he gets paid. And yeah, the CEO signs off on it at the end of the day. He is basically the standalone figurehead for all of the wrong and maybe all of the right that the company is engaging in. The CEO is just as responsible for the deaths as Charles Manson is. He doesn't have to pull the trigger, but that's it. The difference between Charles Manson and the CEO, however, is that the CEO gets money off of making sure the profit margins stay at least 6%, okay? But the process in which those profit margins get up to 6%, there are a ton of denials, okay? There are a ton of denials. And those denials are absolutely, those denials are absolutely causing so much pain, so much suffering. This is before we even factor in to the equation the necessity for privatized healthcare. It does not need to exist. Maybe as an alternative, if you already had a pretty fat, pretty robust social safety net in the form of some kind of socialized medicine structure, but that's not where we're at. Just because the CEO is not directly engaging in this process doesn't change that reality. What is this? I mean, Destiny is right. How can you speak on the insurance industry if you've never had someone who worked in the industry? Don't speak on it. You're right. My apologies. I had no idea how the insurance structure worked. You're right. I have to literally be someone who works in the insurance industry. It seems to me like you are someone who works in the insurance industry. And although you are a low-ranking employee, you somehow feel the pain of this CEO. I don't understand what's going on there. I am not a part of the Israeli occupying force, nor have I ever been a part of any sort of military structure, but I think I can offer decent analysis on all of the war crimes that the Israeli government is engaging in. I am not a chicken, but I know how to make a scrambled egg. This is not a decent counter-argument, chatter. This is yet another major issue that I have with debate lords, where they're just like bad. They're bad at arguing, but they think they're good at arguing because they think that they can LARP like the person that they're watching. It's very strange. That is the dumbest comment you can make. You're not talking to me, you're talking to him, right? It is a crazy thing to say that, like, well, you don't work in the insurance industry, so you have no idea how this stuff works. You could turn around and tell me what is wrong about my analysis, but just simply hitting it with this blanket statement might make you feel like you have made an intelligent point of contention, but it's not. It's very stupid. It is directly at odds with what I do as a political commentator. Insurance is just a collateralization of risk. Profit should not be a part of it at all. It kind of seems like what you're telling me is we should socialize it like a singular pool. Also, the irony here is this conversation. Like, the irony here is you think I have never talked to someone who works in the insurance industry when perhaps one of the people that DM me the most frequently is Warren Gunnels. Like, literally nonstop. Warren Gunnels is the Majority Staff Director for Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee Chairman for Senator Bernie Sanders. Warren Gunnels, in his past at least, was an insurance executive. Like, literally. Perhaps the person who DMs me the most frequently. You shouldn't speak on matters regarding trust busting because you're not the chair of the FTC. Yeah. So many people. What is this? I found this channel yesterday, dude. People are insane. Hasan Piker. Bro, this has 13 subscribers. Why are you showing me this? Like, Jesus Christ. Yes, dude, I have rabid and entirely psychotic hate watchers. I know. Some of them you can hear in the broadcast right now. They come in and they chime in and they chirp. Anyway, let's continue with this take.
Like, oh, today, guys, lottery day. If the person that you're approving or denying care for, if their name starts with the letter D, we deny today because D for denial. Making more money today. Or, guys, it's December. You want your Christmas bonuses? Highest denial server or highest denial worker gets a bonus, $40,000 on your paycheck. Like, this doesn't happen. The parts of these systems and the employees that work on
Dude, they literally use the AI. They use the AI with a 90% failure rate specifically to increase the amount of denials that they were engaging in. And they don't have to do it directly. Yes, it is an indirect form of violence. It's just such a weird thing to shadow box against, because I don't think most people are making this argument. You're either voluntarily misunderstanding the argument that people are making, or you are deliberately making up a different argument that you think is at least weak enough. It's not one that like any real person believes. And it also does not change the reality on the side of the victims. It's a very strange way to operate. But I guess it's ironic because Destiny and his weirdo fans will always say Hasan is too scared of debate, okay? He's too scared of debate. He's too afraid, even though I debate plenty. And then they'll follow up and say, no, he only talks to like dumbasses. Dumbasses in his chat, which is ironic because he's calling his own fan base dumbasses, because most of those people that chirp at me are usually coming from his fan base. But having said that, at least I'm like responding to a real person in my chat. He's just making this concept up, or rather responding to, like, again, someone that he saw on Twitter, like a point that they made that he didn't fully understand. The real purpose here, in my opinion, the real purpose here is to try to address what the actual pressure point is, okay? It also is pretty crazy. Yeah, the only reason they have to use AI is because they cannot legally instruct humans to deny at the rate they wish to, so they can blame the over-eager AI denials as kinks in the process. Yes, it's plausible deniability. That's all this is. And it's ironic because the other institution that he defends vociferously, Israel, also utilizes a similar structure in the form of lavender AI targeting systems, according to Israeli investigative reporters over at Local Call and 972 magazine. The Lavender AI targeting system operates in an identical capacity. Most of the AI that is utilized in this day and age is not to actually be correct. It's actually utilized in instances where you can be incorrect, and it's good to be incorrect. Lavender AI targeting systems that create new targets at a rate that is far higher than normal human processing is done deliberately. It's done deliberately because Israel does not care about killing random civilians. This way, they also get an additional way to say, look, we didn't choose to do this. I guess we got it a little wrong. Oopsie.
Are so disconnected from the actual CEOs themselves. The idea that there's like some guy just like, oh, deny you, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just not how these jobs work.
Who's saying that? I mean, I'm sure there's people that don't fully grasp it, but many people are using the CEO as a placeholder for the awfulness that they've experienced from the insurance industry. And I think the reality of the matter is, yes, the CEO is signing off on all of the awful shit that the company is doing. That's why they get paid $10 million a year. This CEO did, at least. I wonder what compels someone like Destiny to be so aggressively a status quo defender. I genuinely don't understand it. There was a point in time when he wasn't rich. You know what I mean? It's not like he's super far removed from being broke. He has no values or morals or ethics. He goes with a win. Yeah, no. Desperation to be the adult in the room and unwavering belief in institutions / hierarchies. I know, but like, this isn't an adult-like attitude to have. This is actually an idealistic attitude to have. I'll explain. The American healthcare structure, the American for-profit healthcare structure is fundamentally busted, okay? It's the most expensive and it has some of the outcomes. It is not a system that needs to exist at all, but even in comparable countries where there are some, at least like gap covering private healthcare providers, they're still heavily regulated. They're far cheaper overall. It's a mediator that does not need to exist, especially in the United States of America. It would be far cheaper to the American public if we had abolished it in its entirety. And if you work in the private healthcare system and you're like, well, Hasan, I'm going to lose my job. First of all, that's not even the case. Unless you are quite literally a CEO, you are most likely not in a replaceable position. You are ironically doing something that the government is still going to have to do, depending on whichever way we change the healthcare structure to be more ethical, or rather, I'll use a term that people care about, efficient. CEOs are replaceable too. Yes, they are. Trust me, I know. I'm just saying that, like, CEOs in that situation would most likely not exist, whereas the paper pushers still would. Someone still needs to process claims. Someone still needs to file paperwork. So your job, regardless of the private or public structure, would most likely still exist, or at least some form of your job would still exist. The CEO's job, on the other hand, would not. As someone who has direct personal connections to someone who's an exec in the industry, he's so objectively wrong, it's insane. Yeah, I know. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why this is something that he chose to argue on. He's so pressed on defending the insurance system in the U.S. What does he gain out of this from defending it so hard when the majority of people in the U.S. hate the insurance system? He has nothing to gain from defending it at all. I have no clue. My guess is he likes being a contrarian. He also has some pretty terrible takes on Palestine lately. Probably. He and his community just like the debate. If Hasan was making this exact point, you can bet his fans will be on the other side. I like that random people know that, like, he just takes the contrarian position to whatever the my opinion is. I don't think that's the case. I don't fully understand what the ambitions are here, what the motivations are here. I don't think I'll ever understand it. It is a very strange way to operate. He's violently afraid of being wrong, so he's trying to stay safe. That's really interesting. If he was violently afraid of being wrong, he should probably agree with me a lot more, because lo and behold, you might not agree with this, but I feel like I'm vindicated quite frequently. It takes time, but it always happens at the end. But yeah, he is just wrong in general. It's just how you make money. This is how private healthcare works. They make money by doing everything in their physical power to make sure you don't get the proper coverage. I've seen his fan claim he earned millions a month on Twitch only. That made me laugh. Yeah, they also claim that my dad is a billionaire because they saw some AI articles. That, like I said, being pro-Israel after October 7, once again, you're just going to always have to hold that permanent L. You might, over time, try to restructure your opinion, but you're holding that permanent L. And that's not the only, that's not the only L that Destiny has held. I mean, he's held other things too. Potentially the hand of a Nazi and maybe some other stuff from a neo-Nazi, but I don't know. Something that I always try to explain. You mean they made AI articles? Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, it's so stupid. You want to know why it's stupid? Because if my dad was a billionaire, like those AI articles suggest he is, he would literally be on every list. He'd be the second, third, fourth wealthiest person in the country, in Turkey, okay? He would be on lists. And it's really interesting that no one even exercises a little bit of critical thinking because they're so invested. Here's the meta-analysis. Here's the meta-conversation, okay? When you get very passionate, and we do this in this stream as well, I urge you sometimes, when something seems so perfect, when something sounds so good, my immediate reaction to it is like, I'm going to exercise caution. Certain things are too good to be true. Socialist with a billionaire father. Sounds like something that might be too good to be true. I am my own person. So regardless of my father's opinions, beliefs, or financial status, that still wouldn't really matter in this conversation, but at least it would matter for the memes. What these people should do is maybe engage in a little bit of critical thinking, but they can't because they're so excited. They're so excited and so invested, right? That They don't realize that this causes many people to lose sight of that muscle that you normally are supposed to exercise, the critical thinking muscle. That's the problem, okay? So these people who are very invested, in like finding the truth, and the best possible way to find the truth is through spirited debate, like they end up shutting off certain parts of their minds that under normal circumstances would cause them to be a little bit more critical with certain narratives that sound too good to be true. That's it. This is something that I talked with Ta-Nehisi Coates about yesterday. The topic was in regards to Israel, but like, there's only so much that you can be wrong on until you just are wrong all the time and you are no longer interested in the truth whatsoever, and you find yourself seeking out conspiracies further and further, okay? And you become like a QAnon supporter, basically. Or after the fourth time, you're like, okay, instead of spiraling out of control and seeping further and further into madness, I should exercise a little bit of caution and really reconsider some of my first principles, some of my immediate lapses of judgment. That is the problem. And I think a lot of the debate space in general is so hyper focused on being right and or at least like appearing right and defeating and humiliating your interlocutors in the marketplace of ideas. You just have no interest in finding out the truth at all. And slowly but surely, you go further and further into trafficking in falsehoods. Because as long as your in-group is repeating those falsehoods, then it might as well be correct. After all, everyone around me thinks it's correct. Kind of how very postmodern of you, kind of like how you said you would end up eventually right in the end. I thought facts didn't matter as much as stories. Yes. I'm talking about the dangers of this. Do you just hear me say, unfortunately, narrative trumps the truth? Unfortunately, narrative is more important than the facts. And you think, oh, he believes this? Instead of hearing the things that come after that, which is, this is me telling you to exercise caution. Sometimes I think people are too stupid to have a conversation with. This person, I believe, is one of those people. It's really, really interesting that people go into the debate space because they want to repeat what they think are intellectually sound arguments. Everyone wants to be smart. People in this community do it. I do it as well, okay? Everyone wants to be smart. Everyone knows that maybe they're not that smart, but at least they want to appear smart. Okay. Now I recognize I'm a dumbass, and I repeat it. I repeat that fact all the time. People in this community do it. People in Destiny's community do it. Everyone does it. People that read New York Times articles do it as well. Everybody does it. But the problem is when people are so predisposed with appearing smart and repeating a person's takes that has consistently been wrong, they don't realize that, they're not coming across as intelligent at all. Maybe rhetorically you can bully your interlocutor in that moment, okay? But you're still wrong. You're just confidently and loudly and proudly wrong. The difference is I think I'm at least smart enough to understand that I don't know everything.